Welcome back to the channel. This is Warhammer Man Studios, and I am, of course, Warhammer Man. I am very glad to be back with you guys today, making this video. I didn't think I was going to get an opportunity to do this. I had quite a bit to do with my other work, and I've been procrastinating on a couple things, so I did have to make sure that I took priority on a couple things I was wrapping up, and also a couple things that I was just getting started. But I did want to come back and basically take the time to go over a little something with you guys. And I have not even had a chance to mess with this yet. As you'll see, the other Necromunda board is gone, and we are going to be taking a look at something different today. And this is more of like the Zone Mortalis style, like Space Hulk style board. Because if you, if you build a board like mine, you're going to end up with use the majority of the pieces, but you don't use like some of the walls. You don't use like some of the doors and stuff. Like from two kits, I did not use my second two wall sprues, or no, actually, I only used the wall sprues from the first kit, and there's two large wall sprues and two small wall sprues. So I still have four wall sprues left. And then in the two kits, I did use all the columns, pillars, whatever. But essentially, you could basically build my whole set and then just get some more like columns and pillars, and essentially you'd be able to like build like an indoor Zone Mortalis like space hole type board as well. And again, if you like expanded a board and did like more of the Necromunda style or what I'm about to show you here, you could basically like I mean, you could have endless opportunities, but at some point in time, you're going to end up with like a bunch more of one or the other. But regardless, I have not figured out a situation where you don't end up with a ton of extras of these. Okay, because what these are used for is, actually, let me set this down. What these are used for is, obviously you have your columns here, and this is if you want to attach like the walkways to it and platforms and turn it into like, a surface that guys can walk on and interact with in more of a sense, and it has all the stuff for the platforms to connect. And you're going to use a lot of those for what I did. But if you were doing like a indoor style board, you would probably be using these because there wouldn't be a second level. So you would use all these, and then you would end up with a ton of like extra floors and stuff. So that's my example again. Like the opposite version though. If you built like a Zone Mortalis board, you're gonna end up with a ton of like the floor tiles and stuff like that. So regardless, there's gonna be a lot of situations where you end up with a bunch of one or the other. But in my situation, for my board, how it is and everything, I just end up with like a ton of these things. I think I had like basically when it's all said and done. Um, Man, I can't even think off the top of my head, but I think I have like at least 8 of them. So I started thinking about it, and I was like, what could I do with these things, etc. And then I was thinking, man, if I had like, I'd rather have like more floor pieces, instead of these. I wish I got like a bunch of floor pieces, but I understand how the kit's like spaced out and everything. So then, I was actually thinking about something, and then it's funny, like people will, of course, like have the same idea at the same time, like on different places of the planet, and like for no apparent reason. It's just like great minds think alike or whatever. People see things and it makes them think of something else, and it just the human mind like thinks similar. But I want to give a shout out to Dead Gamer. One word, because he was like looking at a lot of the Zone Mortalis stuff, and he's been looking at this Dark Uprising stuff and the compatibility with like other terrain, and that's basically like what I've been doing as well. And he's been exploring a lot of things I was exploring. I saw a couple things on there that were pretty cool. I shot him a message like, hey, check out my stuff, you might see a couple cool things, because I know he wasn't into like the magnetizing and everything. And regardless, I just he was going through the other day and talking about cutting up one of these Zone Mortalis tiles, and I had been thinking about doing that as well. But now you're going to come back full circle to that first idea I just gave you. I was thinking, man, what am I going to do with all these extra things? And I was saying, boy, that would be pretty cool if I could figure out a way to essentially get the height right and then mount these onto the bottom of the Zone Mortalis tiles. So essentially the Zone Mortalis tile would become like a floor. Because right now on the back of these tiles is like, it's not really like usable in the sense that it's strong and it gives it structure and it's not like wobbly and shaky, which is cool. But the height is like I mean, you set it on here and it's solid, but it doesn't have like all the ridges and all the special stuff that's in the bottom of this to make it attach onto these pillars, okay, or columns, whatever you want to call it. So that's when I basically, like, you know, started getting to it and measuring and everything. And if you're not familiar with how this kit works, there's a couple key factors, you know, that you have to keep in mind. This is your column or pillar, whatever you want to refer to it as. But we're going to pay attention to specifically this top line and how that flushes up with the different pieces as we put them in there. So when we put this piece in, we're going to drop it in, and now it's going to line up flush, okay? So it's no higher than the side of the pillar. And that's important now because we're going to take a look over here, and you'll see right here this one is completely different, but obviously it goes in the same place. But when that slides in, you'll see now the bottom part is gone, but it is not flush. It has an entire length of floor above there, so it's essentially sitting this length of floor higher than the other one was. So now the important thing, you know, to find out, obviously, you see where I'm going with this probably is, to see if there's compatibility. What we want to do next is we want to compare the thickness of the actual tile to this piece as well and see, are they the same, are they compatible, are they close. And you know, now what we're going to do is that comparison. And I think that might make it a little easier maybe. So we'll take this right here and we're going to basically just line the two up, and you'll see that although there is sort of like a beveled edge on the one, man, I can't really get it good. There we go. Although there is sort of like a beveled edge on the one, they are actually the same thickness. They are exactly the same thickness. If they're not exactly, it's a microscopic difference. You know, but honestly, I measured it as close as you can honestly measure it within like tolerance, which is basically me like squinting my eye and holding them up next to each other, and they look exact. You know, and that's, you know, that's what people use to build buildings and spaceships. So, you know, I trust it. So, but anyway, so there we have this, okay? So now we've already made the connection that now if we take this piece right here, okay, and, all right, now we got to actually, like, do some stuff and move some things. And I'm going to show you a little bit more of this, and then again we're gonna, you know, we're doing a lot of this stuff together. We're walking on the moon together, guys. This is it, because I have not done this, what I'm doing right now, or anything further yet, but I do have an idea of what I'm about to do. So, oh man, it's hard to tell probably at that angle, and I can't move this over because they have to sit specifically on the things, but essentially they line up perfectly. So then now if we take this guy right here and we switch that over and we were to take this one, if that tile now was sitting over here, it would completely be over. Let me grab a couple of these and see if we, so basically that's the same height, that floor piece right there, and you'll see now, let me, probably be easier if it was like flush on the end. So now you'll see that they're the same height, and when you actually like move them to the end, they will be sitting like literally flush. Okay, so you could join up essentially this piece on top of here, but the only problem is they'd be the same height and everything, but you don't have like a secure way to mount this. So it's just going to be sliding all over the place and, you know, essentially doing stuff that you don't want it to do. So, and again, a lot of you probably see where I'm going with this. So now the next question is, what is going on the bottom here? And if you look at it, there's obviously this pattern and everything, but if you essentially like take a flat surface and you keep it on top of the pattern, so it's always got like 2 or 3 points on here, so it's not just like falling down in the cracks. This is essentially a flat surface with the edge and like through here. So what we're going to do now you really see where I'm going with this. And if you don't, you're going to very, very soon. Because what we're going to do is we're going to take these extra pieces that we have. Oh, I'm sorry. All right, thank you. We're going to take these extra pieces that we have, and we are going to attach them to the back of this. And, you know, basically, we're going to turn this platform piece, this Zone Mortalis tile, into like a second story platform. And then I'm going to show you a couple other things that we could potentially do with it as well. Keep in mind though, because I'm showing you this, you know, live for the first time, that I am probably going to make mistakes, and there's probably going to be like, you know, I'm probably going to have some questions, comments, regardless. But I've already checked this out, and when you put them on this area right here, they are literally sitting flush and perfect. So the key is to essentially, we're just going to try to run the glue along these edges where it would be making contact. And obviously it's going to make contact, you know, man, there's no easy way to do it. It's going to make contact obviously on the edge that sticks out the furthest, which is this strange little like reinforcement edge that Games Workshop put. And now, because we can actually see the pattern on the bottom of this, like we can actually see the pattern, all we basically have to do is just like line this up with the pattern, and we just want to make sure that we get it centered. I'm going to look from above. Alright. And now we're just going to literally go around and do each one of them in turn. And, you know, worst case scenario, if this was like some kind of epic fail, I know these Zone Mortalis styles aren't available right now, but it's not the end of the world. They'll be back. You could always like break these off of here, you know, if you had to, you know, so it's not that big of a deal. The thing you're really going to get mad about is when I start cutting this thing up here in a minute. And again, I'm not claiming to be the first one to ever do this, but, you know, the guy who discovers something isn't always the one that takes it, you know, to the moon. I'm more like that guy. You know, I do, honestly, I probably get to spend a little bit more time messing with it than you do, because I don't sleep at night. I just stay up and work on Warhammer. And that's between you and me, okay? But yeah, there we got. Okay. Whoa. That would have been great if it just slid in place right there and just saved me all the work. Alright, so I mean, they pretty much lined up like themselves, so I'm sure it's not going to be perfect, but hey, let's give it a shot. Ladies and gentlemen, are we about to do something that no one has ever done before? Yes, we are. We are about to. And man, I'm telling you, I'm like the ultimate scavenger when it comes to bits. Like, I love bits because I love conversions. I hate having like just stock regular stuff. So I am all about having bits and figuring out what I could do with them. And that's the exact thing I saw, or I thought as soon as I saw I was about to have all these extra pieces. So hopefully we got this close. I'm sure it's not going to work the first time we do it, but it's probably... Of course I say that, and then of course, well, so we did a thing, and it's pretty cool, yeah, so it worked. I think probably what's gonna happen now that I realize this, is, man, I mean, I pretty much have to cut this tile up. That's like an automatic thing. I can't think of a situation where I don't chop this tile up. Yeah, so basically, we did it. It worked. It worked perfectly. It worked better than we could have even imagined. First try, I thought I was definitely going to have to, like, you know, take one of them things back off there, pull it off or something like that. But, you know, this is an absolute, you know, solid structure